see the face on Philip when he realized that this is going to be an uphill climb from the start. Diego, with this trap-heavy strategy, really enjoys starting off games, but maybe he's also not going to draw any engine that has to struggle through Philip's hand. What's it gonna be? I don't see an immediate start here on the side of Diego.
Of course! The treasures of the kings will give us access to Apophis the Serpent, at the very least. The Temple of the Kings card, the card that is treated as such on the field, gets us rolling in here. And when we have another card to set, we even get access to the man with the mark. Interestingly enough, in this very version of Diego's deck, we're only running one copy of the man with the mark. Still though, we could search it here if we didn't have it on our opening hand.
However, I cannot stop saying that Mitsurugi is one of those strategies that, yes, has lost the dice roll, yes, they're going second. However, it is one of those decks that only with pure engine can go second against any field, and I'm pretty sure that right now Philip has logged in to interact with his opponent, activate the correct way to his hand potentially, and go second and establish a very, very good field.
The man has entered the big stage, and is he about to leave a mark with a YCS win here this weekend in the hands of Diego? What kind of a tournament run that could be for him? He already is top of Swiss, means he got that oversized copy of the prize card already. Now, with the new pricing, if he wins this final, he also gets a giant card, and he has access to his second engine now as well, which of course is the Primite engine, by activating that Primite Lordly Load.
And I think you only play one man with the mark because you want it as a search target for Treasures of the Kings, because your normal summon that you want to have every single turn is of course the Primite Ether Barrel. This card is incredibly strong, sets you up for a Primite Drill Beam from the get-go. Man with the mark is going to be great follow-up after that, but you're not running Temple of the Kings, you don't go for big combos.
And I mean, when you're trying to combine two different strategies with each other, the best thing you can do going first is obviously to have your two starters from each engine. So Lordy Lord has been activated alongside with the Treasure of the King, and I want to see now how Diego can establish his full combo and go to establish a full field.
Ooh, searches for the Primite Drill Beam, and that may indicate that we still just go for the normal summon of Men with the Mark, because our Apophis traps would also be normal monsters, so the Drill Beam can easily get live, but we also have Pot of Prosperity. Yes, we are playing a trap deck, but we have opened all the powerful spell cards here in this very final.
This is real protagonist energy here with the perfect cards. All of the starters that you could wish for in this deck. If you're searching for the Primite Drill Beam, yes, you might have another Primite card in hand. You can actually go for the man with the mark and potentially search for a Verdict of Anubis.
That Verdict of Anubis would be another card from the Anubis theme. Is not in the deck of Diego, though, I gotta say, because he's really only running a very small package. What are we going to see here? There is Psy-Frames in there as well, as we can see. There's Purge, there's Imperm. I feel like we're just going to take another way of interaction here, either the Ash Blossom or the Purge or the Infinite Impermanence. With the Imperm, it depends, though, whether we even have the space in our Spell and Trap Zone to also account for that card. Because with the Ash Blossom and the Purge, we could instead just keep them in the hand.
I mean, in this scenario, I think against Mitsurugi strategy, it's better to take the Ash Blossom, obviously, because it can interact very, very well with not only prayers, not only with Sanji and Habakiri, but also with the Ritual Spell to summon from the deck.
That would turn on triple tactics cards, though, so that has to be kept in mind. But of course the Purge could be problematic if you have 5 cards in your Spell and Trap Zone and you definitely want to activate it first. If there is something like a pre-preparation of rights, of course that would not be ideal. 4 cards are set now, 2 extra cards.
I mean, we have already 2 outs to a potential thrust. We have Drill Beam and also the Apophis traps, so we can negate a potential thrust.
Okay, this is interesting. Hear me out. I think this could have 2 reasons. First of all, it might be that Diego has another one of those Psy-Frame cards in his hand, but that definitely speaks against it. There is the Apophis the Serpent immediately being answered, though, by the Dominus Impulse. Another reason that I can see, though, is that maybe we just don't want to play into super polymerization, because if you summon out that glorious Primite Dragon Ether Barrel, you have a Earth Monster on the field, and then that Earth
Yes.
Monster together with the Serpent would have been easy to super poly away. So I think that was smart by Diego to play around that, but the Dominus Impulse really ruining that plan. And please note, those are continuous trap cards, and we have to have it on the field, but we're in the battle phase for Philip here. What is this? A lonely Night Sword Serpent going to battle, only doing very little damage here.
So hear me out here. Philip is a very well-known player, and I think that he potentially has some engine to start. However, he wants to play around the Ash Blossom and the Drill Beam, and he just waits to gather pieces, gather more cards in order to play against potential negations. So he just waits for the right moment to activate his cards.
Possibly, and normally with Treasures of the Kings, that card is so good because you can every turn search again for another Man with the Mark or maybe even Anubis the Last Judge. But, as I just explained to you, there only is that one Man with the Mark in the deck, and therefore we have no search target anymore left in there.
But this one can get you another treasures, which you can activate to get back to the first effect and set another Apophis the Serpent here, so you can actually follow this up. But of course, the pace of the deck, I mean, Philip is matching it quite well. Normal summoning a monster with 500 attack points. The pace of the deck is really, really slow. You can just pass a turn. I don't even think he had to normal summon the Night Sword Serpent there.
Not necessarily, but maybe it has to do with the set card that we have. A set card that would make sense here. Maybe a Magatama, which would interact with the Serpent. But we shall see, as we have just added the second copy of Treasures of the Kings.
Or even potential prayers, actually, to bait cards like Ash Blossom, for example, in our opponent tent.
The battle phase. This is real slow Yu-Gi-Oh! As the Man of the Mark attacks over the Night Sword Serpent, bringing both of them on 7,500 life points. And the interesting part here about that Apophis the Serpent still being in the spam trap zone. Apophis Swamp Deity, which obviously is going to be another one that we need, only needs other face-up trap cards on the field, meaning we would still be able to negate with the Swamp Deity, even though that Serpent never found its way into the main monster zone.
But I mean, it's just a continuous trap card, right? Technically, you should be able to activate the effect every turn, no? That's also something that I'm very confused about, why we haven't special summoned it yet. When reading the card, I think you should just be able to activate it.
I think it's just on activation. That's how it works, I'm pretty sure. Don't think you can just bring it out again. But we bring out the driver from the deck with that also powerful Ether. No, not Ether Barrel, but the
Lordy Load.
Lordly Load, and we go into Lambda. Now clearly signalizing that there should be another one of our Psy frames in the hand.
At which point are we going to see the almighty Psy frame Omega?
Well, I think it is in the extra deck. He's playing all of this.
It's a really good card, especially if you're also playing something like an Angel Trumpeter. This card is actually quite useful.
It is funny how those normal monsters are running the show here this weekend. Angel Trumpeter in the finals of a YCS, but Philip just passing again here, and the air is getting thinner. I think Diego about to maybe get some more attack points ready onto the field here.
And yet we need to see some interaction from Diego to start summoning big monsters into the field in order to attack for game and lower Philip's life points to 0, because otherwise, if you let Mitsurugi to have a lot of cards in his hand and starting accessing his engine, because remember, as I told you before, I truly believe that it's not a brick issue, rather it just wait for the right moment to have a lot of cards in order to play around Drill Beam and Ash Blossom.
Angel Trumpeter from the hand, and that one has 1900 attack points, so we are now picking up the pace. It's still not fast, but it is getting us there.
This goes out to the people who say it doesn't really feel like the old Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. We have just normal summoned a vanilla with 1900 attack points in a YCS final and attacked and then passed the turn again, and his opponent is looking absolutely helpless in this game one. Losing the dice roll was crucial, but there are also very few plays that Philip Weidiger can make.
That's all becoming possible because of the Primite cards in the game and in the deck of Diego. That is why you play those normal monsters, but there is no more normal monsters to be played this game.
Becoming the first YCS champion of the season, but not if Philip has to say something against it. He is going to start this game off. Is his hand maybe a little bit better than the last one?
Okay,
Yes.
we start off with pre-preparation of rights, but Diego's deck has plenty of ways to answer that. Did he find any of those? No! We do get to search for not only the Mitsurugi mirror, but also one of those powerful ritual monsters. And we do go for Habakiri.
And I think that preparation of rights, this is one of those cards that when it resolves, you feel very, very, very confident. Even against a potential draw and lockbird, you still can adjust your playstyle and establish a very good field.
Yeah, especially in this matchup, right? Which is a little bit slower, and you're not really fearing the Apophis Primite deck to run you over to end the game on the second turn or anything. So even if you get drawled, you have a lot of setup for the turn after. So I think definitely resolving this card already brings Philip in a really good position here.
Also something that is not to be underestimated, even though we have seen very few special summons in the last matchup. Fossil Dynapachi is so good because all of a sudden you're shutting off all of the Apophis trap cards. Yes, it is a trap deck, but they want to summon themselves, and that is not possible. Now, Philip has lost the first game. He has said it before. He has no idea about the matchup versus Apophis Primite, but this might give him some comfort. This is what he knows best. Dominus Impulse being activated here, shutting down Mitsurugi Ritual, but this also shuts down all of your normal summons.
Oh, but there is Habakiri. We know about it. Answer from Diego missing, so we do still get our Mitsurugi engine rolling here. Probably going to summon out the Saji, that's the most common one. Or if we want to get that ritual just straight up back to the hand, we could also go for Kusanagi right away. And it is for Kusanagi indeed. We're tributing it, trying to bring back that ritual into the hand. Diego, did we maybe find a Skullmeister? Does not look like it.
I mean, it was a very, very good play in order to play around a potential Ash Blossom. However, we have Ash Blossom checked through the preparation of right, and yet now we can actually start to find our engine and go to establish our big monsters. For example, Murakumo will be summoned right here, probably sending Saji and Aramasa in order to add a potential prayers.
Also, Dominus Impulse, as it is a double-edged sword, you can now just go for a very, very slow approach of this game if you want to. But the thing is, this card, of course, is super strong. With other hand traps together, it is incredibly impactful. That's why you're playing it in Apophis Primite. Yes, it really hurts your grind game with the Ether Barrels and with the Man with the Mark. But this card can stop your opponent from playing sometimes. In this case, there is not a lot that the card does.
And it is quite interesting that now Murakumo second effect is actually the important one, meaning that you don't really need the distraction effect on the monsters. Rather, you need to take resources from your opponents if they play a control deck, and you want to let them discard cards and starting losing value.
Yep, and I love how long Philip thought about that. He is already pre-planning the entire line that he has ahead of this turn, and he decided on searching the Saji, which now comes in as a normal summon. Very often you see this card being summoned by the Habakiri, but Philip just finds his own line here, and that Saji shall grab him another spell card from the deck. Most likely, I would assume that is going to be the Mitsurugi Prayers.
Or you could add Great Purification.
Oh yeah, I guess.
That is also an option. Funnily enough, normal summoning plays around Skullmeister. But that card is also shut off by the Dominus Impulse.
Spell or trap card, what do we want? Is Skullmeister not a dark?
I think it's
No,
Earth.
it's Earth.
Oh, it's Earth. You're very right then. No, wait, Skullmeister is dark. As
I'm
thought.
trolling. Haha.
So Skullmeister is still alive, but I think Skullmeister would have definitely been activated on the Kusanagi. It just felt right. That was the next play from Philip, so that was definitely something I would have expected from him. Now, Philip, we do not have a time limit here anymore with the new time rules, but still I feel like Philip has to come to some kind of a conclusion here, and he does end up grabbing that Mitsurugi Prayers.
I like what you said, Mike. The Murakumo is so important in this matchup because you have barely any plays on your first turn. When you're playing the Apophis deck, if you activate a spell card, it is going to cost you immediately, and then on the next turn, if you want your powerful trap cards to interact with your opponent, that's going to cost you even more. You can't set every single card you have. You have to keep cards in hand just to discard, and that is going to make your field even weaker. So I think Murakumo going first kind of checks Apophis Primite.
And in a control deck like Apophis Primite, as we saw, every card matters, and you can not really afford to have a discard in each turn. I mean, I truly believe that in this scenario, the effect of Murakumo to make your opponent discard a card if he wants to not negate the effect, I think it will be very important.
I'll say one important thing though. I think in this matchup it is crucial that Philip doesn't go over 2 extra deck summons. Because if your opponent normal summons a monster and then just puts a Typhon over it, this entire effect of letting your opponent discard is negated. You can't use Murakumo anymore because it has way too many attack points. But maybe now that we're seeing, no, we have normal summon Saji. Fossil Dyna is out of the picture here. So maybe actually playing into Typhon could play a critical role in this game.
Here comes the Mitsurugi mirror, which we searched at the very beginning of our turn. Tributes the Futsu from the hand to bring back the Habakiri from the graveyard. And now Futsu shall search us an additional card. Is that now maybe finally the time for another prayers? In fact, it is. So the setup for Philip becomes stronger and stronger, even if we do not go for the Pachi.
I think you just want to set up one IP Masquerena and then potentially prepare for Dynamondo or SP Little Knight in the next turn just to keep your opponent on the low. Philip has been in the game for ages. He has been super successful at Nationals, at Euros, at YCSs. He knows what he is doing, even against decks that he doesn't have a lot of practice against.
I mean, we can also summon Tornado Dragon here, right?
If there is Tornado Dragon, we could summon it, but I can tell you other options are chosen due to the fact that we are running Pot of Extravagance and Super Polymerization. Our extra deck is just designed differently, and those toolboxy rank 4 monsters are not available anymore. We still found our way into pretty impressive field here on Philips, and 3 set cards together with the IP Masquerena and the Murakumo certainly do not look too shabby.
And I like the fact that Philip has sent in 2 ritual monsters, meaning that he can activate IP Masquerena whenever he wants, so Purification will be also live in any scenario.
Yeah. And he has not played into the Typhon. IP Masquerena gets negated by the Infinite Impermanence. Is this the point where you already activate Murakumo? I think so. Yeah.
That's what he did, and I feel like it is good. Diego thinking whether he can just discard a card to still have that Infinite Impermanence resolve. He does discard another Infinite Impermanence here. Sure, the IP Masquerena is negated. Still, that doesn't feel very great as we're down to only 3 cards in hand. That problem can be solved a little bit though as we activate Pot of Extravagance, trying to make 4 out of those 3 cards in hand.
I mean, I think it is one of those scenarios that you need to negate the Extravagance. You cannot let your opponent with 2 cards in the hand draw additional 2 cards.
Yeah, I would purify this any day of the week. Tributes the Habakiri and is going to be able to special summon after that again. Picks up the cards on the side of Diego. He actually predicted correctly which giant card will be chosen. In the end, he said he would go for Man with the Mark. I think if Diego wins this and chooses a giant card, there is a decent chance he picks that one too. But now, first of all, he has to start game 3 off against Philip, fighting a Titan of the game. And he starts with Treasures of the Kings, transforming into Temple of the Kings and getting Man with the Mark.
We saw before how this engine can go through and starting with the field spell, and I'm truly sure that now Philip knows exactly what is going to happen. We see another set card, maybe a Lordy Rod.
Is that something we have to use any interruption on? No. I mean, Philip probably recognized in game 1 that the man does not even really want to get normal summons, so we just let this search happen, and there is now though the normal summon of the Man of the Mark, and I just discussed there is an even more powerful card we can search this time around, but we do not even search it. Verdict of Anubis not being searched here may be an indicator that it already is in the hand or the second card already set.
You believe that Philip is familiar with his strategy in order to understand his opponent and try to read his hand?
I'll say that he doesn't know Verdict of Anubis.
Good chance, honestly, good chance. The way he talked before this finals, he really seemed not too confident on the matchup. But as I told you, sometimes you only have to pass on one man, and I don't know whether that can be enough versus an engine-heavy hand of the pure Mitsurugi deck. But we are about to find out. Philip, can you break through those 4 trap cards?
And I mean, it is very scary to go in a YCS final. I guess 4 traps in. Right now, Philip must be nervous. However, Mitsurugi has such a strong engine and can be very confident.
Ooh, draw phase, Apophis the Serpent. And this is where the super polymerization that Philip is running in his deck could be crucial, because the very moment the Swamp Deity, which Philip reads just there, is activated, Philip could respond with a super polymerization, fusing away the Serpent and the Man with the Mark, making the Swamp Deity basically useless as it has no other face-up trap cards on the field anymore.
That is a strong start here. Mitsurugi Ritual activated. Are we going to see the Swamp Deity immediately, or are we having other responses on the side of Diego? He's definitely going to respond with Dominus Impulse. That is massive. The crowd is cheering for Diego here. It just resolves. Mitsurugi Ritual is negated, and also we're not shut off of Earth.
Okay.
Kusanagi is the answer of choice.
We want that ritual back, of course.
It is one of those scenarios that you don't need to summon Kusanagi. However, you really have the opportunity, but Gospel will be changed to the Kusanagi.
We do not want that ritual to come back to the hand, and Philip hand shuffling there quite hardly, trying to figure out a solution to the problem he is ahead of.
So important that the impulse was set, because then it doesn't shut you off of using earth monsters like Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion. Philip is now thinking, what can you do in this scenario? He does have Mitsurugi Prayers here, discards the Murakumo.
Will that be answered by Diego? We sorta think there must be Verdict of Anubis set. Is this the moment we want to use it? There are still 4 other traps on the field, including, or spell traps, including Apophis the Serpent, which is a trap card on the field still. But is that where you want to negate? Because Verdict of Anubis here would in fact also destroy the Kusanagi, which is a nice side effect actually. But Diego ain't sure.
The last card of Diego in his hand, that is another Treasures of the King. So we know about that. There is little information for Philip. He knows that there is a Swamp Deity set, so he can be aware of that. The other 2 cards are absolute blanks. That is the power of trap decks. There can be whatever. Has he walked right into Diego's trap card? Are we going to see a verdict? You have to use it at some point, because you need plenty
Verdict
of
of
cards.
Anubis, and look, Philip has to read it. This card is so crazy, as it can negate a spell or trap card. But additionally to that, if you control Temple of the Kings, and as we explained to you, that Treasures of the Kings accounts as Temple of the Kings on the field, will destroy all of Philip's monster on top of that, and even now deals some extra damage.
I mean, there is nothing more scary than going to a YCS final and reading your opponent's cards, because you are surprised by everything.
But we have tributed Murakumo for prayer, so we get to resolve that effect. Of course, we cannot summon it back from the graveyard. It wasn't properly summoned before. It is, after all, a ritual monster. We have still Saji in the deck. We still have the Habakiri in hand. Can reveal it. What are the other 2 cards going to be? Does Philip have enough to extend here? Can send Saji? Can get another ritual out here? What effect has he used so far with the ritual?
I mean, our real interruption now, potential plays actually
it's
to take prayers again.
We have already activated prayers,
But I think we
the
have...
activation was negated. That's true, so we could, in fact, negate it again. Or activate it again. But then also negate it again, as there, of course, is still the Swamp Deity set too.
Philip Weidinger might not exactly know what Diego's deck does, but he knows what his cards do, so he is going to find a few more ways to dismantle this field. He might also be mistaken for the fact that this deck can't push aggressively, but if you have plenty of trap cards, he just sets the prayers. He just sets the prayers here, and now it is Diego's time to shine. He is calm, cool, and collected, and he has a Swamp Deity to further extend his field.
And of course, this could also finally be the moment where we see the Divine Serpent Apophis for the first time. That also powerful fusion monster of the Apophis deck. And that can be contact fused by using 2 Apophis trap cards. And we know there's another one set. So is that going to be the moment we go into that? I could see it. But for the moment, Diego holding back on it. Kind of also wants to save the negation effect, of course, of the Swamp Deity. So no real need for it just yet.
I think for Diego right now, he already knows that a praise has been set into the field, because he can understand and read his opponent. And right now, I think he needs just to play in the long run and just wait for the right moment in order to finally push for game.
He can also activate the next Treasures of the Kings from his hand. Set up another Apophis, the Swamp Deity. Of course, doesn't want to go into something like a Time Thief Redoer while he has the Apophis, the Serpent, on the field now to possibly negate it. Tributes the Habakiri from hand.
Wow.
And that is Drill Beam top decked. Oh my days, this card came from the top, and it is going to show that the Apophis the Serpent is in fact a normal monster here on the field. Habakiri still was tributed, can still do something. Are you going to go for another prayers that you can add, or are you going to try and find some other ritual spell?
So far, we only talked about the fact that you have to draw both parts of the engine, but here we see why they work together so well. Those Apophis monsters on the field are normal monsters and make that drill beam live, which is so crucial here for Diego in that very moment.
However, Extravagant has been drawn, which is very, very important. Generating card advantage and going for that +1 will be very, very important for Mitsurugi in order to come back and try to find ways in order to play around the interaction and the negation that Diego currently has.
Do you swamp that?
Of course you do. I mean, we have brought our opponent down to very little resources, so sure enough, a card that makes them draw 2 cards should be negated. Oh, Diego, do you agree? Swamp Deity would then not only negate the pot, but also gives you another strong monster on the field to possibly already threaten game on the next turn, and we do decide to negate here.
Swamp Deity is being activated. Philip, do you have anything? Something like a droplet? Anything? No, it just results. Negates the Pot of Extravagance. Philip Weidinger is shuffling through his graveyard, is looking for any options. It is looking bitter, but he still has the Prayer Search from last turn. Can special summon out a Saji from the graveyard, can search any monster. But if you don't have ritual spells together with those monsters, what do they even do?
And to be fair, right now we need to remember that Habakiri has been activated. It is once per duel, so Habakiri is not an option, and I think that you need to go for the reborn effect right now.
Oh, Diego checking his options, has another Swamp Deity to also negate this Mitsurugi prayers. It's not resolving. We have a new YCS